we're talking about lab safety, specifically PPE. PPE stands for Personal Protection Equipment. This is the equipment that we're going to wear on ourselves while working in a lab environment. The first part of PPE that we're going to be looking at is protecting our eyes. In our lab, we have safety glasses that always need to be worn anytime you are in the lab. The next thing we're going to look at is our clothing. We want to make sure that we wear clothing that is appropriate in the lab. First thing is we don't want to have long sleeves because they can get hooked and caught on items, and we don't want to tear our clothing or to knock anything off a workbench. So we're going to roll up long sleeves. Now when we roll it up, we want to go to at least halfway up your forearm because that keeps it out of the danger zone that it can get hooked on anything. I always like to take mine up to my elbow just because it's more comfortable for me. The next thing you're going to look at is to make sure that you don't have any loose, baggy, or hanging clothing. If you're wearing a zip-up hoodie, you want to make sure that it's zipped because if it's unzipped, it can hang out to the sides when you turn and swing out. We don't want that to happen. We also don't want to have anything hanging down. If you have on a hoodie and it's got pull strings on it, those can hang down. Neckties, scarves, long dangly bracelets, or earrings are all things that can hang down and get hooked on anything, so we want to make sure that nothing like that is happening. If you do have hanging clothing, you can wear a lab apron to keep it contained and out of the way. Now a lab apron does two things. One, it contains any loose or baggy clothing that you might have. Keeps it all in so it's not a problem anymore. Two, it protects your clothing. It provides a barrier between any sawdust or shavings or tooling parts from getting to your clothes. Next, we want to talk about our hair. If you have long hair, we want to make sure that it's tied back and kept out of the way. It's the same reason we don't have anything hanging down. We don't want it to get hooked on or pulled into any machinery, because if it does, it can tear your hair out, and that's going to hurt. Next is our footwear. We want to make sure that your shoe completely covers the top of your foot. We shouldn't be able to see any part of your foot at any time. So that means no sandals, no open-toed shoes, no Crocs. If I can see a part of your foot, it's not appropriate footwear. Your shoelaces should also be tied, because if they're not, that can create a tripping hazard, which is extra dangerous in our lab. Also, we want to make sure that the bottom of your shoes have good grip on them. There can be slippery spots in a lab, and we want to make sure we have as much grip as possible. So making sure that you have appropriate tread on the bottom of your shoe is important. Lastly, you do not want to be wearing heeled shoes, especially high heels. Wearing high heels puts you up on your tippy toes, which can throw you off balance. And we want to make sure that we're as balanced as possible when we're working, because we don't want to fall over. We also want to make sure that we're protecting our ears. When you're working in a lab, there can be loud machinery and equipment. And if you're in the lab for an extended period of time around that loud machinery, it can damage your hearing. So we want to make sure we protect it. You can use earplugs, earmuffs, to take care of that. One thing that you should not have in the lab are headphones. We don't want to be covering up the noise in the lab because hearing what's going on around us is extremely important. So the 5 categories of PPE were our eyes, our ears, our hair, our clothing, and our shoes.